Okay, good Davach, everyone. As we broadcast here this evening, specially from Hollywood, Florida, at the wonderful home of Reb Leib and Bruchi Twersky, and we hope that the schus of the learning should bring only bracha and gesund and parnasa berevach to their home. We are holding this Motzei Shabbos with a delicious two-blot, and we are holding on the bottom of Kuf Yud Beis Amid Beis, coming down the home stretch of Masechtas Bava Kama, and we are holding now, let's see, we're holding by Amar Ravina, 4 lines from the bottom. Amar Ravina, 4 lines from the bottom of Daf Kuf Yud Beis Amid Beis. And we are sponsored by A.B. Spry for the protection of our troops in Eretz Yisrael and for the safety of Klal Yisrael, the recovery of the hostages, and all those that are sick should get better. We are also sponsored by Shimon Klein, Nishmas Asher Anshel Ben Yehuda, Gittel by Shimon Pinchas. We're going to have specially in mind tonight Irving Fishbaum, who has Florona, flu and corona. If you remember, I had that years ago. I gave shir during the Florona, and Irving is here even though he's not feeling well. And we wish him a refuah shalema b'seg shachar Yisrael. And we learned from Meir ben Chaya Sarah, for Eliezer ben Rezel, they should have a refuah shalema b'seg shachar Yisrael. So let's, again, I said before, but we welcome our host, Reb Leib Twersky, and thank him and his wife Bruchi for the beautiful use of their house and for housing the shir. We welcome in Saba, who's joining us, and we welcome in A.B. Spry, Ben Sion Cohn, Aaron Swait, Stephen Holtzman, Yitzi Fuchs, Menachem Yemansky, Bruce Eisenberg, whose son was a star this Shabbos, David Yeshua Shmuel, who really put together this Shabbos. It was really a great Shabbos, and you could be very proud of your son. He's very loved here. Yisrael Fisher in Brooklyn. Rabbi Yisrael, are you feeling better? Good. And you should be here when you're gesund as much as when you're not well. Mel Zachter, Nachman Chapler, Yitzi Mullen, Moshe Lehman, Chaim Braun, Irving Fishbaum, Yossi Rezepkowitz, Ilya Shutman, Abe Arbach. I don't know why they're not tuned in yet from the shul in Lakewood. I don't know why we're not on yet. Abba Steinhauser is joining us. Here's Berish Gesseman, who I guess is tuning in from home. Shelley Zeitlin has just joined us and snuck in over here. Berish, it's good to see you. I'm at
the shul, Rabbi, but we don't have the computer set up. I don't know who's supposed to come and actually knows how to turn it on and connect. Whose computer is it, do you know?
It's my computer.
Oh, it's your computer?
Yeah.
So maybe you can tell me exactly what to do.
Well, I don't understand. Where's Gedalia? Where's Michal Avram?
Well, I don't know either. They're not here.
So how are you on? How are you on?
What was that?
How are you?
On my phone.
Okay, stay on your phone till they come.
Yeah, the connection's pretty weak down here. Hopefully it will last. Okay.
Yeah, they should be here soon. I mean, they know that we're counting on them.
Yeah, okay.
Eddie Chazan is joining us. Okay, let's get right to it, because at 9:30 I'm supposed to be giving a Shalom Bayis back at Heichal HaTorah. So let's get on the move over here. So Amar Ravina, 4 lines from the bottom of Daf Kuf Yud Beis Amid Beis. Amar Ravina, I shluchad Rabbanan, a agent of the court that goes to tell somebody that he should come to court, and he issues a summons. When he comes back, we believe him what he says, like 2 people. We believe him to issue an excommunication. If the guy says, I'm not coming, so we believe him to give that report and issue an excommunication. But to write the excommunication down in a document, that we don't believe him. Why? Because then he's costing the person money, because the person is going to have to pay the cipher for writing it. The Kabbalah Meisel Lezuze Lusafra, and we know that there's no Davish B'mam and Pachas Mishnayim, less than 2 people. So then we don't believe him. Ravina, Yavina and Zimna Apuma de Itzav Apuma de Shivche. We give a time by the testimony of a woman and by the testimony of a neighbor. Now that means that if a woman was going to the person or a neighbor and they said we let him know, if the person doesn't show up, we believe the woman and the neighbor. But that's only if the person himself that she is supposed to notify is not in the city now. But if he's in town, she might not bother telling him because she figures, the agent of the court is going to tell him anyway. The woman or the neighbor might not have told him. They assume that the Shlich Bezdin will find him. And even if he's not in town, that's only that's only if he wasn't seen passing the front of the court. But if he was seen passing the front of the court, then we don't rely that the woman or the neighbor told him, because Imre is going to say the neighbor assumed Bezdin definitely saw him passing. And the only time we rely that she got the message to him is if he came back that day. If he didn't come back that day, people don't remember, and we'll say that she forgot. We say that maybe she forgot, the neighbor forgot. If we write a excommunication document to someone, for not coming to court, we don't rip it up. Here we are, as I think we just got back into shul, and we got everybody. It's not such a clear picture, but welcome everybody, and it's good to have Berish Gesemin, and I guess that's Michal Avram, in the Agudas Yisrael of Fairways, joining us. Says the Gemara, as we are holding on Daf Kuf Yud Gimel, 113a1 if you're using the art scroll. Amarava, if we wrote a document of excommunication on a person, for not coming to court, as we welcome in Yehuda from Yerushalayim. Wonder what time it is in Yerushalayim right now. Right, 3 in the morning, Yehuda from Yerushalayim is joining us. Dr. Guy has just joined us as well. Twisky, look how many people are coming to your house over here.
They're all welcome.
Reb Twisky says you could come, he'll serve you coffee, no problem. Virtual coffee. So anyway, if they wrote a writ of excommunication for him not showing up, ad asi ladina, it's not enough for him to say, okay, I'm coming. Until he actually comes, loy mekarino lay, they don't tear up the writ of excommunication. Al deloy tzayis ladina, and if they wrote an excommunication because he didn't listen to the verdict of the court, ad the tzayis loy mekarino lay, they don't rip it up until he actually listens and follows the directions of the court. However, v'lohi, as soon as he says, I'm going to listen, I'm going to follow the instructions of the court, they tear up the excommunication. Like we said, we give Monday, Thursday, and Monday. Koivin Zman Sheni v'Chamishi v'Sheni. That means we give Zimna one time, and then Zimna Basa Zimna another time after another time. Ulamacher, and on the next day, Kasvinan. In the next day, we issue, in the case of what we talked about earlier, we issue an excommunication, and says the Gemara, where do we give so much time? We only give so much time. Rav Asi Iklabe Rav Kahana, Rav Asi Iklabe Rav Kahana, Rav Asi, and Sandy Grunfeld has just joined us. Good to have you, Sandy. Rav Asi Iklabe Rav Kahana, Rav Asi visited the court of Rav Kahana. Chazahu Itzsa the Asma Ladina Befanya. There was a woman that was summoned to court in the morning, in the evening, the night before. Ubet Safra, and the next morning already, she didn't show up. They wrote an excommunication. So Rav Asi was surprised. Amalei loy savala mar. Does the master not hold? Lahadamar Rav Chisda koivin zman sheni v'chamishi v'sheni. You give Monday, Thursday, and Monday. He says that's a man, because a man a lot of times is out of town for business. Amalei hani miligavra de honest. But sometimes it's circumstances beyond his control. V'leisei b'masa, he's at one of his job sites. Aval it's a woman, kokfuda bas melech penima, a woman that's home, came into Isei b'maisa, v'loy asya, if she doesn't come the next morning, that's a meredesi, then she's rebelling, and we write an excommunication. We shouldn't say, of course, if she was a businesswoman, then we would give her the same courtesy as a man. Amrav Yehuda, lo yehivna zimna, we don't issue a summons for someone to come, not in Nisan when it was the time that they harvested the grain, Tishrei, and not in Tishrei, which was the time that they harvested the grapes. Not on Erev Yom Tov when people are busy preparing for Yom Tov. And not on Friday when they're busy preparing for Shabbos. You may Nisan, but they could give a summons in Nisan that the person should appear after Nisan. You make Tishrei, and in Tishrei, Labasa Tishrei, Kavina. That we do. However, Mamale Shapsa, Labasa Mali Shapsa, to give a summons on Friday, to appear after Shabbos on Monday, loy kavinon. That they don't do. Why? Because a person can't focus on Erev Shabbos. My timer, ba'aviditate the Shabbos authority. He's busy preparing for Shabbos. I'm Rav Nachman. As we start the first wide line on Daf Kuf your Gimel Amud Aleph, trying to move at a rapid pace here this evening. Reb Tversky says he likes a swift shear, a shear that moves, no kvetching. Avram Alan Weissman has just joined us. Welcome. I'm Rav Nachman. Lo yavinon zimna, we don't give a summons. Lo lebnei kala bekala. The kala shear was a shear that was given, they came to the drasha on Shabbos. So we don't give a summons by the drasha on Shabbos, otherwise people won't come to the drasha. Nor do we give 30 days before the regal. They didn't issue summons in the shir for Yom Tov. Also the comment of Rav Nachman, when people came before Rav Nachman and said, we have people here that are debtors, give them a summons. So he would tell them, you think the gathering is for your interests? This is a gathering for Torah. We're not going to issue summons. However, the Ikar Ramai, we have people that only show up to the drasha to escape getting summonses, then Chayshinon, and we issue a summons even to the people that gather to the shir. The Mishnah says, if the father left the children, the father that stole, left the children something that has achrayis, chayiv l'sham, then the children have to pay. Now, the Gemara tells us this doesn't, normally, davar sheyesh b'achrayis means karka. But over here, Masnale Rebbe Reb Shimon Berei, Rebbe taught Reb Shimon his son, loy davar sheyesh b'achrayis mamish. This doesn't mean karka. If the father stole a cow and left it by the children, and the cow was plowing, chamor, a donkey, and they were leading the donkey, they have to return it, because people will say that's the donkey that their father stole, that's the cow that their father stole, and therefore they have to return it. So asks the Gemara a follow-up. If the father stole a bed, a couch, and they were reclining on it, a table, and they were eating on it, what's the din? Give it to the wise, and he becomes wiser. It's a good application. Just like the cow and the donkey would be because of the covenant of the father, so would be the couch and the table. You understand that we did speak about this by Shalashudas here in Hollywood, Florida, that Tein L'Chacham V'Yech Gamoid is from this week's Pasha, when it says, Kol Chachmei Leiv, you should give Chachma, and we will learn out that we give Chachma L'Chachamim. Says the new Mishnah, Ein Portin, you can't take change. Sometimes you need change. You need change of $1. You want to get 4 quarters. You want to get, 100 pennies. You can't take it loymet tevis hamuchsen, not from the box of the toll collector. This is a toll collector, the Gemara says, that takes tolls unlawfully, and therefore it's stolen money. So you can't benefit from stolen money. Not from the purse of the illegal tax collector. Not only that, you can't take stolen funds with tzedakah. Not only that, even if the owners were miyayish, you can't take it, because you don't want the thief to think that because he's giving tzedakah, it's allowed to do what he's doing. However, even though you can't take it from the toll collector or the tax collector from his collection box, you could take change from his house, or if he's standing in the marketplace, because other money, we don't have to assume it's ill-gotten gains. This might be legal money. Tanya, we learned in the Braisa, but if he collects tax for you, and he's supposed to collect a half a dinner, and all you have is a dinner, you could give him and you could take change. You could give him dinner and you could take change. Why? Because otherwise it's kamatzel miyodai dami. It's like saving money from him. So that you're allowed to do. Just to take change you're not allowed to do. But to take back, if you have to pay a half a dinner and you only have a dinner, to take back change, a half a dinner, that you're allowed to do. Umuchsin. Says the Gemara, I don't understand. Why is that considered theft? The toll? Toll is dinner to Malchus dinner. You got to pay the toll on the George Washington Bridge. You got to pay the toll on the Battery Tunnel. That's not theft. The law of the land is law. That's not theft. That's talking about a toll collector that bought a medallion, that bought a license, and he could collect whatever he wants. So where he collects whatever he wants, that's considered not dina de malchusa dina, and therefore that's why it's considered theft. The Bei Rabbi Yana Yemrei, b'muchas hamen me'elav. He's a self-appointed man. He's a strong guy with his own personal army, and he's collecting his own tax, not by the government. So that's not dina de malchusa dina. Now some teach this question of dina de malchusa dina on the following din. It says, Lo yilbash adam kloyim. There was a time that they taxed a sales tax. They taxed only merchandise. If it's your personal clothing, they didn't tax it. So lo yilbash adam kloyim, if you're wearing linen, you can't put on wool on top of it that makes it shatnez. Afilu al gabe asara begadim, even if you're going to put it on top of 10 pieces of clothing, so you don't put it on your body. You can't do it, even though you're not doing it in order to keep warm or to, cover yourself. You're only doing it lavriach bayasameches. But still, you can't do it because you're not allowed to wear kloim, even though you're only putting it on to show that it's one of your personal garments and you're not selling it. So the Gemara says, Masnitzin like Rabbi Kiva. The Mishnah is not like Rabbi Kiva. The Tanya also lavriach esameches. You're not allowed to put it on kloyim even to avoid the tax. Rabbi Shimon Aimer Mishim Rabbi Kiva mutar lavriach esameches. You're allowed to avoid tax. Now, bishleima the Indian kloyim. What's the machloikis whether you're allowed to wear the kloyim just to avoid the tax? Since you didn't have in mind to benefit from the clothing, so it's not loisilbush shatnez, so you're allowed to do it. And the Bava Kama holds that you're not allowed to put it on even though you're not intending to benefit from the clothing. But how everybody seems to agree that you could dodge the tax. But how are you allowed to do that? Mishari, V'amashmol dina de malchusa dina, the law of the land is law. Rav Chanina bar Kahana, Amashmol b'mucha shein lekitzvah. It's talking about a tax that is done without any fixed amount. That's an illegal tax. He's a mercenary who just has a small army, and he's taxing. It's not a government tax, so that is not under the umbrella of Dina de Malchusa Dina. Some teach the same question and answer on the following, as we welcome in Rabbi Kranz and Michal Akta, who are joining us now, and it's great to have everybody joining you here from Hollywood, Florida. Says the Gemara, actually it's fascinating because this is in today's Mishnah Yomis. So we'll see, we're going to learn it later in the Mishnah Yomis in the Darim. Noidrin laharagim ulacharamim ulamuchsin. You could take a vow to murderers, to plunderers, to tax collectors, and say, Shehi shel truma, that don't take this because it's not mine, it's truma, or Shehi shel beis hamelech, or it belongs to the royal family. Afal pi she'ena shel truma, afal pi she'ena shel melech. Even though it's not truma and it's not the king's. We'll learn in the Mishnah that this means that I could say, Kainim, all the fruit of the world on me, if this is not truma, or if this is not from the royal family. And I'm allowed to do that even if it's not truma, because I'm trying to dodge people taking it illegally away from me. And the reason why you're allowed to do it is because you have in mind that all the fruit in the world should be ushered to me only for a second. Now, even though normally that would not be good because it's dvarim shebelev einan dvarim, here we allow you to do it in order to escape from these bad people. The question is, but why should you be allowed to do it ulamuchsin? Why should you be allowed to do it to escape the toll collector? The same kasha. It's talking about a toll collector who has no fixed amount, or somebody who is not government appointed. Rav Ashi says a third answer. Rav Ashi Kanani. It's talking about a Goyish tax collector that taxes more than he's supposed to, and he steals. The Tanya, Yisrael Knani Anas, a Yisrael and a Goyish bandit, Shabo Ladin, that come to court. If you could say that the Yid is right according to the laws of Dinei Yisrael, Zakeyu ve'emeloi kach dinenu. Declare him victorious, because say that's our law. B'dinei Kananim, if you could say that the Yid is right according to their law, Zakeyu, then declare him right. Ve'emeloi kach dinchem. This is your law. V'imlav, and if you can't exonerate the Yid, not according to our law, not according to their law, bon alav ba'kifin, you should act with him with guile, with cleverness, in order to save the Yid from the guy. Divrei Rabbi Yishmael. Rabbi Kiva says, Ein bon alav ba'kifin, you can't act with guile, because Beis Din can't act with guile because they have to make a Kiddush Hashem. Mivnei Kiddush Hashem. But the only reason is because of Kiddush Hashem. Rabbi Kiva, time and Kiddush Hashem, or like a Kiddush Hashem, you could take it away from the guy, even if it's not our law. But you're allowed to use guile. V'gezel kanani mishari. Are you allowed to steal from a guy? But Tanya, Rabbi Shimon Dava said, Rabbi Kiva Kishabam and Zephirin. This has been taught to us by Rabbi Kiva when he came from the town of Zephirin. Minayin legezel kanani shuaser. How do you know that you're not allowed to steal from a guy? Ta'amalemer achrei nimkar. After a yid is sold to a guy, geula tiyala, you should redeem him. But you see that you have to redeem him. You can't just take him away. So there has to be a cheshbon. Now it says the Gemara as we turn. Wow, look at this. Look how many Artsco pages there was on this one Amud. 6 pages. That's a very big Amud. But says the Gemara, so we see from here that we say shaluyim shechenu, that you shouldn't just pull them away the yotza. You have to make an accounting because gezel kanani is also. Now, yochel yigleim alav. I might think that the guy could ask even an exorbitant price from you, and he could make unrealistic demands. You make a fair calculation with the buyer. You only a fair price. So here you see that Rabbi Akiva holds you're not allowed to steal from a guy. So if you're not allowed to steal from a guy, how could you act with akifin? How could you act with guile? Says the Gemara, like kasha b'kanani or b'ger toishiv. With a kanani, you could act with guile. With a ger toishiv is what we call a resident alien. A ger toishiv is somebody that was mekabel not to worship idolatry. So with a ger toishiv, there we have bigger expectation that you're not allowed to steal from him. Says the Gemara, I'm sorry, but the din that you're not allowed to take the eved from him without paying is even by a full-fledged guy. Both are included in when we sell the eved. Not only to, if you sell him from a Jew, even if you sell him to a convert, not only to a righteous convert, it's even a resident alien who just accepted not to worship idolatry. Then it says, Mishpachas ger ze'oivin kachavim. That's a regular idolater. Or if he was uprooted, even if he was sold to the service of idolatry, you still have to redeem him. So you see that there's gezel, akam, even a literal pagan. Here's the difference. You're not allowed to openly steal from a guy. But if the yid owes the guy money, to be mafkir him, to get out of paying a loan, there you could go with God. And that's the chiluk that the Gemara makes. Amar of Rava Lekasha kan b'gzeilai, kan b'afkoas halva osai. One is talking about stealing. Stealing you can't do openly even to a pagan. To release from debt, that you could do with God. Amar le'abaya, but even ivri hafkoas halvasu, freeing the guy, from the yid from the Goyish servitude, isn't that just you have a debt to pay for the service? Remember, you can't own a yid, so it's only a debt for service. A debt for service, isn't that to be mafkia chayiv? Says the Gemara, Rav Tamei, who says that by a ger, by a yid that's acquired by a guy, he has a kinyan in the yid. the Amarava, Evan Ivri Gufay Kana, his body is acquired by the pagan, and then to take it away without an accounting, that would be actual stealing. Okay, just getting underway over here on a beautiful Matzoi Shabbos. And it is wonderful. I'm sorry for those of you that were mixed up. What happened is I wanted to get even an earlier start, and I announced on Thursday that shir was 7:30. But I found out that later on Friday that here 72 was 7:32. So I knew that wouldn't happen. I put on our WhatsApp that the shir was at 8. Those that are not on the WhatsApp and want to be should talk to Shelley. Shelley will put you on. We'll put you on the WhatsApp immediately, if not sooner. Shelley, you already looked for an article for us?
Not yet.
Yeah, please do so, because we need an article for tomorrow. Purim is a good idea. You could also look for an article on the Egel Azov, if you see an article on the Egel Azov, which also is good. Let's see, and look, the neighborhood is about to change, Rabbi Isai. Brace yourself, it's not going to be the same in a minute. And here he is. Here he is, the incredible, edible Marshall Castle. It's good to have you over here.
Edible?
Yeah, well, I forgot. It's you that do the eating. Okay. The incredible, eatable Marshall Castle. It's good to have you, Marshall. Marshall, I was speaking the whole Shabbos to loads of people. I didn't find anybody like you.
Thank God for that.
Okay. Marshall, we are holding on Daf Kuf Yud Gimel Amid Beis, and we are holding 12 lines from the top. 12 lines from the top of Kuf Yud Gimel Amid Beis. A big job this evening as we do two very long blat. So now, Amar Rabbi Voy Bagidol, Amar Rab Shimon Chasida, Gezel Kanani Aser, to steal from a guy is Aser, Avedosai Muteris. But his lost article, if you find it, you could keep it. Gzeiloi Aser, theft is Aser, the Amar Rav Huna Minayin Legezel Kanani. How do we know that stealing from a guy is Aser? Shenamar V'achalto es kol ha'amim, and you consume all the nations, Asher Hashem alikecha noisin lach. Only if Hashem clearly gives them to you. Bizman she'em mesurim biyadcha, only when they're clearly given to you by Hashem. V'loi bizman she'em mesurim biyadcha, but in regular times, you can't consume what belongs to the guy. However, Avedosai muteres, what he lost is muter. D'amar Bava Kama Baguri Amar Rav, Menayin lavedus haknani shimuteres. How do we know that what a guy lost, you're allowed to keep? Shenemar l'chol avedus achicha. You have to return the lost article of achicha. Achicha means achicha b'mitzvahs. L'achicha hatamazim. To your brother you have to return it. V'yatamazim the Knani. Says the Gemara, be'emahani mili heicha d'lo yasu l'yodei. That maybe that means that if it didn't come to your hand yet, you don't have to pick up, you don't have to go after it. But maybe if it came to your hand, you have to return it. Ravina, the pasuk says, Mitzasa means that you found it. You already found it, and still it's only by achicha. However, Tanya Pinchas Ben Yor Amar, b'makam sheyesh chilul Hashem, if there would be a chilul Hashem for you to keep it, then afilu avedasa yaser. Then you should even return a lost article. Now, although we have very limited time tonight, really, I'm under the gun, but even so, I want to tell you that Saba had a remarkable story when he was living in Kensington, and he had a house there which he bought from a guy. And when he was doing Bedikas Chametz, he went up to the attic and he found a chest full of jewels and money, and he understood that it must have belonged to the guy that he bought the house from. So he went to the Alta Blusha Rebbe, and he asked him what to do. And the Blusha Rebbe told him to return it. So Saba went back to the Italian owner and said, "Did you ever lose anything?" So he said, don't remind me. I lost my wife's jewelry, money." And Saba gave it back to him. And as long as Saba lived in Kensington, when he went in a store, the Goyim would take their hats off to him. And they didn't let him wait online in the store. That's called the Kiddush Hashem. That's called the Kiddush Hashem.
Tomorrow he says
Yeah.
doesn't have to
Yeah.
Kiddush,
Yeah.
can't make a chova.
Mel Grossman is joining us. Richard Rosenzweig is joining us. Says the Gemara weiter. Amar Shmuel, Ta'usai muteres. You could keep the mistake of a guy. Ki had Shmuel, Zavin Mikusi, he bought from a guy a Lakana Didava, a golden bowl, Bimar de Parzala, and he bought it for the price of a iron bowl, Bidalit Zuzeh, and he paid 4 zuz. In other words, this bowl was only plated with gold. And that's the price that he bought it for. In fact, the matter was, it was solid gold, and it was worth much more. V'ivla leichad zuzah, and he added an extra zuz. So he did it that even if the guy will realize the mistake afterwards, so the guy would say, well, Shmuel didn't know, and you see he makes mistakes because he gave me an extra zuz also. The Gemara tells us another ma'aser. Rav Kahana Zavin Mekusei Meya ve'esim chavita. He brought 120 barrels b'meya. The guy said it was 100 barrels, and he charged him only the price of 100 barrels, but it was actually 120 barrels. V'ivlei leichad zuz. He gave him an extra zuz, and he also said, Amalei chazi da'alach kasamichna. He told him, you should know I'm not counting. I'm relying on your count. So there shouldn't be a taina. Ravina Zavin Dikla, one second, I just want to check a gears over here. Ravina Zavin Dikla, Ravina, this is something that's nice to learn in Florida. Ravina bought a palm tree, Huva Kusi, he and a Kusi, Litzalcha. Their plan was to cut it up and share it. Amalei L'Shamei, he told the attendant, Kodam v'aisei me'ikrai. You go and take right away from the root, from the bottom of the tree, because the kusa minyana yada, all the kusi knows is that it should be a fair division. He doesn't realize that the wood at the trunk, at the bottom, is a better wood. Rav Ashi was going on a road, and this is interesting. This is you have to be careful that people don't misunderstand what you say. Rav Ashi he was traveling on the road. Now Rav Ashi, we know, Ravina Rav Ashi were the editors of Shas. Rav Ashi was a Gadol Adar. Chazer shivsha dugufna, he saw some twigs of a vine, bepardisa, in an orchard, usleba kitufe de inve, and hanging on it were a cluster of grapes. So Amalei l'shamre, he told his attendants, Zil chazi, go and see. Ida kusi ninu, if it belongs to a kusi, this was at the time where kusim were like goyim, geri arayas, or we found them with a demos yaina, so they're already like goyim. So Ida kusi ninu, if it belongs to this kusi, I say, bring it to me. Ida Yisrael ninu, if it belongs to a Yisrael, then lo yaiseli. Now, Shamahu kusi, there was a kusi that have a Yosef Bapardisa, he was sitting in the orchard, and the way it sounded was, is if it's a kusi, go and take it. If it's a yid, then don't steal it. So he said, Amalei the kusi shari, you're allowed to take it from a kusi, you're allowed to steal from a kusi. So Rav Ashi said, no, that's not what I meant. Rav Ashi says that I knew that a yid, knowing that I'm the Gadol Adar, he wouldn't take money from me. He'll want to give it to me. And I don't want to take it because I don't want to take gifts from a kusi. I knew he would charge me. Amalei kusi shakal demei. A kusi will take money for it. Yisrael lo shakal demei. A yid won't take money, and I don't want to have a freebie. Gufa, Amar Shmuel, Dina de Malchusa Dina, as we welcome him, Michal Ibrahimov and Aryeh Shechter, joining us on this wonderful evening. So says the Gemara, Gufa, Amar Shmuel, Dina de Malchusa Dina. The law of the land is law. Amar Rava, Teda, you should know, the Katle Dikle, they cut down palm trees, Vigeshre Gishre, and they build bridges, Vavrina Lalai, and we cross the bridge. Now, if the law of the land would not be law, and they misappropriate people's wood, how can we go on the bridge? Amalei Abaya. So Abaya says, "V'dilma mishim diyayishlu minayim arayu." Maybe it's not because the law of the land is the law, but rather it's because the people gave up hope. Amalei says the Gemara, "Eloi dina de malchusa dina." If it wouldn't be for dina de malchusa dina, what would it be enough that it would be called yish? Yish b'chti is like honey. The fact that they made it in a bridge, Rashi tells us, it's still called Yitzi's logs. And therefore, since it's called Yitzi's logs, yish alone would not be kindness. You have to come on to Dina Malchus Adina. However, the Gemara says, but there's another problem. The king said, take wood from everybody equally. Like go and take some wood from every valley. In other words, everybody should give their fair share. But the agent of the court, the agent of the government goes and cuts down from one big forest, from one big private-owned property. So it's not fair what they're doing. So how could it go under the umbrella of Dina Malchus Dina? So the Gemara says, no, we don't expect the royal agent to go and make, a stop in everybody's orchard. Shluch Malka Kamalka. The agent of the king has the royal rights of the king. V'loy Torah, he's not going to go to everybody's property. It's understood that he takes from one person, and that person will take the trouble to collect the fair share from all the people in the city. The inu afsid on Avshaya, the person that had the big forest, he heard himself, the boilu, he's expected, and it'll be backed by the throne, the inkit makule boge, that he should collect and be repaid from all the people in the valley, umishkal demei, and get money back. If he didn't do it, then he heard himself. It doesn't stop us from going on the bridge. Amarava, man de mishtakach b'dbei dore. Here's a situation where I and Menachem Yamansky and Marshall and Aby all share a silo. And everybody took their grain out except for me. The din is when the agent of the government comes to collect the tax, he takes from the granary my grain. He doesn't have to say, get me the other people. He takes all the tax for the poor people that use that granary for my grain. And then I have to go back to Aby and Yitzi and Marshall and get it from them. That's what the Gemara says. Amar Rava, mandim techach bebei dori, the one that has his grain left in the threshing floor, para mansa de malka. He has to pay the tax, and then he's going to have to collect it from his other partners. But v'hani mili shutfa, that's only if the one who has the grain there is one of the partners. Aval arisa, if it's the sharecropper that has the grain there, arisa sayu de kabapik, he only takes a sharecropper's wage. He doesn't have a chelik in the land, and the agent is not allowed to take his grain. V'amarava, bar masa ar bar mosa me'avet. If you're a neighbor of someone, and your neighbor owes money to the government, and he skipped town, then the agent could take collateral from you, seize from you, and you have to bother getting it from the one who's out of town. It's tough. V'hani mili de burla ara, that's only a land tax. V'karga da'ishata, and for the head tax of that year. Aval shata de chalif, but if the year was already over, hoyel v'fayis malka chalif. Since the king was already appeased, it's not like today that they keep records, then they're not allowed to take collateral for last year's tax. Vamarava, hani did daire dore. Now, people would make a business of coming to your field, putting up a corral, bringing animals, and the manure of those animals would fertilize your field. So v'amar Rava hani did daire dori. If they bring their animals in your field and fertilize your field, if they do it b'seichat tchum, within the tchum of the city, also likach mehem, from these fertilized agents, you're not allowed to buy animals, because they come with their animals and they leave with some of the owner's animals. My time, mishum d'ma'arve chayusa d'masa b'yadayu. When they come with their animals, they leave with some extra animals. But chutz l'tchum, if it's outside of the tchum, where there's not other people's animals, then mutar likach mehem, then you could buy from them. Amar Ravina, if the owners are chasing them, saying, hey, wait a second, you're walking away with my animals, then afilu chutz l'tchum, you're not allowed to buy from them, even if it's outside of the tchum. As we welcome in Abe Arbach for our 27th Zoomer of the evening. We're going to give Marshall here a 30, because there is in the shul probably at least 3 people. So
I bought my own bottle already, it's fine.
you bought your own bottle, but that'll be over in a few minutes.
I can't wait for 50 Zoomers.
Well, you have to do something about it.
Yeah, I gotta get bombed on my own bottle.
Marshall, come on. Where's the guy with a little fire in his belly? Come on, you want to see 50 people there? You want people?
That bottle, I got plenty of fire in that belly.
Ay vey, what are we going to do with Marshall? Now.
Also, you sell they both others sell.
Now.
I got 2 months to chug a lump of stuff.
Machriz Rava. Rava announced, the Isayma Rav Huna, and others say it was Rav Huna announced, the Solkin La'ela, those that go up to Eretz Yisrael, Udinochasin Lasata, and those that come down to Bavel, Hai Bar Yisrael, Diyada Sadusa Lakusi, a Yid who knows testimony on the behalf of a Kusi, V'loy tavamine, and they don't summons him to give the testimony. V'asid lei b'dinei dekusi al Yisrael chad, right? And he goes and testifies in a kusi court. Now, a kusi court, that's not a Jewish court. He goes and testifies in a kusi court al Yisrael chavri against one of his fellow Yidden. Mishamtina like they put him in excommunication. What are you going to a court that doesn't judge according to the Dinei Torah? My timer, the inu maprik memayna, because they take away money apumad dechad, by the testimony of one witness, and that, of course, is not allowed. We know ein davar shebamam pachas mishnayim v'lo yamin al echad, but we only say this where he's the only witness. Aval betray loy, but if it's two witnesses, so then they get it right. Two witnesses, even a Jewish court, they would take money. V'chad nami lo yamin ela b'dinei de megista. That's only in a village kusi court. In the village kusi court, that a bunch of bumpkins, and they take on the testimony of one witness. Aval bei davar, but in the governmental court, where they only demand an oath with one witness, then inunami chad amumsa sharilei, they only demand an oath with one witness, which is like our Dinei Yisrael, and therefore then a person could go and testify. Just wait one moment, Rabbi say, as we change the channel here.